Post-traumatic stress disorder is actually defined as an anxiety disorder, but what it really is a condition that develops in some people who have experienced or directly witnessed an extremely traumatic event, something that is terrifying or horrifying, something during which they felt helpless and unable to control. And after that, and many of us have experienced traumatic events, but the person who has post-traumatic stress disorder doesn't get over it very well. That person is likely to re-experience that event over and over and over. And every time they re-experience that event, it is distressing to them. And so it interferes with their daily function, their occupational function, their social function. It gets in the way of their life. The military have often experienced a traumatic event, and so the military is accustomed to dealing with that. We have to focus, and the Veterans Hospitals has to focus on that a lot. But they are certain, the military veterans are not the only ones who experience trauma. As a matter of fact, trauma is common in civilian life just as it is in the military experience. People who are victims of natural disasters, like Hurricane Katrina, that would be a well-known example. People who have automobile accidents might be vulnerable to PTSD. People who are victims of rape, people who are victims of physical assault, people who are abused as children can even develop PTSD. So there's lots of terrible things that happen to people that can result in the re-experience of those events in one's mind, and the condition called PTSD can develop. The signs are usually centered around the experience of the trauma and the re-experience of the trauma. And so a person doesn't want to do that. So you'll see somebody try to avoid things that remind him or her of that trauma. They might stay away from certain places. They might avoid certain kinds of experiences, such as a veteran might avoid things like the 4th of July fireworks displays, or might be upset at a helicopter passing overhead. Things that remind him of the traumatic event. Someone who's been raped might avoid a certain parking lot or a certain street or a place where they might have encountered that rapist. So if you see somebody avoiding places that most people wouldn't, that's a sign. If you see somebody that is what we call hypervigilant, they're always scanning their surroundings. They're looking for something that might happen. They are uncertain about what's going to happen usually, but they are hyper aware of whatever is going on around them. You look for somebody who starts to isolate him or herself. Stay away from people, stay away from the public, so that they don't have to encounter so many reminders or have to be forced to talk about or relate their event to other people. Another symptom, a sign that someone might be suffering from PTSD is that they are more irritable than usual. They start to act as though they're angry at the world sometimes. They start to act angry at family members or friends that they usually don't really have any difficulties with. And it's a sign that they are uncomfortable and that they are having to process something and deal with something that brings pain and discomfort back into their lives.